May I remind you that trading is risky and not suitable for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Welcome to QuantBox Daily. Today is November the 1st, Tuesday, and it's an hour before London Open. So I mentioned last Friday that the times have changed. So London is now 1 hour later. So be aware of that in your trading. It changed on Sunday. So we're currently in that situation where London has changed, but America has not yet. So you've got a shorter duration between London Open and the US Open. But these sessions will still be held an hour before London Open. So here we are on QuantBox. What a beautiful tool. Looking at euro dollar, we're still bearish. Technicals showing up. Trend reading is showing a +2, but everything else is showing negative. In terms of data, we got some low and high impact news coming out of Germany, Netherlands, Austria later today, Greece. We got some low and high news coming out. Low and high impact news coming out of the United States later. That's much, much later in the session, more towards New York. As you can see, some low tier news out of the States later on today. And then some high impact news coming out of the States later today. All right. So keep an eye on all of that. But again, that's more towards the New York session. So just some euro news in the Europe session this morning, the London session. So keep an eye on that. But ultimately, what I'm paying attention to at the moment is the fact that fundamentally, we've got no reason to be buying. The only concern is our technicals. Are we currently bearish technically? Now, I went through a trade setup yesterday, which I took, and we'll see if that trade survives. We'll look at that in a moment. Pound dollar. Still bearish. You can see there across the board, fundamentally bearish, but trend reading to also showing a move higher technically. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We got some medium and high tier news coming out of the UK today, this morning. So pay attention to that. USD CAD is still showing a buy. Okay, although we've got some reds on inflation and interest rates, but everything else showing green. Okay, perhaps that's why we're currently so sideways. Now what's interesting is that trend reading is showing a +1, but our technicals are showing a move lower. We've got some Canadian news coming out later today, high impact Canadian news. Keep an eye on that. Aussie USD, we've got still a sell. Majority of data is in favor of bearishness, despite except inflation and unemployment. And then retail sentiment currently very balanced. New Zealand dollar USD, neutral. Okay. Japanese yen pairs, neutral on Aussie, neutral on CAD, neutral on Euro yen, neutral on pound yen, and neutral on Kiwi yen. Oh, I still got. I have let Wayne know that there's an issue with this data coming through. So he is aware. All right. Now, of course, you know, QuantBox doesn't just provide you with dollar pairs and yen pairs. There's all the crosses. There's global stock indices. There's bonds and commodities. But for these sessions, we just go through dollar and yen pairs. Obviously, it makes sense for you to get your hands on QuantBox so that you can access all that other data. And of course, everything that sits up here. Okay. Some beautiful stuff. Nonetheless, sticking to our dollars and yen pairs, starting with the euro dollar. In fact, let's actually start with Aussie USD. All right. So Aussie USD yesterday, price closing down here. Okay. Currently closing at support. Okay, we got new pivot points for November. And that's the lay of the land. Currently opening in a bearish sell zone. But this daily candle currently closing at support. Not ideal. So be careful of that. If you're a bear on Aussie USD, I think you're waiting for better opportunities. Okay. Certainly looking for roll reversals H4, not getting any. Gonna have to see how this chart sets up as we go through the week. We'd love to see price coming up and closing at resistance and then giving me an opportunity to sell. And again, we'd love to see a roll reversal somewhere. Okay, like a lower low, lower high would be a good indication of it's time to start selling again. I'm not seeing any of those setups at the moment. I'm looking at the daily, I'm looking at the H4. Once I got a roll reversal on one of those, I then moved down to lower time frames. Nothing setting up on either of those at the moment. Moving on to euro dollar. Yesterday, we identified a trading opportunity. This green candle, or this red candle tucking under that resistance, this green candle closing at that resistance. And you can see there, I did sell what I said I was going to sell. My trade is over there. My stop loss is over there. We'll see if it survives. The trade on the 4-hour time frame was identified as so. Okay. And currently, we've got that resistance holding price down. We'll see if it lasts. If it doesn't, well, that's trading, right? I'm taking a very, very, very small risk on this trade. So if I do lose, no biggie. So looking at the chart, we haven't broken this resistance. Looking at price coming down here, coming off of this 100, but more importantly, coming off of this support. Okay, and that I'm not a fan of. So we'll see how things develop over here. Do we come down? Are we going to continue towards the weekly target? Are we going to come down, hit this, and then continue going up? We'll have to see what happens. Right now, all I have to prevent this trade from losing is that resistance over there and the possibility of the fact that we're currently making lower lows and lower highs. Things are choppy for sure. Looking at the H1 time frame, going into the market open, we can see here, I was expecting a pullback yesterday because as price came down towards yesterday's daily profit taking zone, we hadn't tested this level over here as price broke that support. So I was expecting a pullback to that level. Obviously, we also didn't test this over here. And that's where price is currently. Okay. So you can see that at the open of Europe, price closing at that resistance. I like that a lot. That's a very comforting sign. So are we going to continue going down? Now, if you had a look at some higher time frames, you'd notice that this 100 EMA is your weekly 21. Okay. Perhaps good news. We'll have to see how things go. Okay. So nothing I can do about this trade right now. I've got to just wait and see if we continue to, close at resistance and continue to go down. I won't be adding anything to this trade. Right now, I'm just going to be just either I get knocked out or price goes lower down. In terms of an extra trade you could take today, I would not be selling euro dollar today. The fact that price came down a daily time frame, closing at this support over here on the left-hand side. The 21.55 isn't bothering me because of the fact that it's sideways, it's flat. If there was a 21.55 cross, I feel a lot more nervous about price closing at the 21 EMA. But what concerns me right now is the fact that this is consolidating. Even though I took a trade off of a resistance roll reversal yesterday, could we continue? Possibly, hopefully. Although because of the consolidating nature of this chart, we'll have to see what happens. Again, looking at where price is closing at the moment, I'm very, very happy with this candle closing at that resistance over there, okay? Indicating that we are still bearish. We'll have to see how this develops. Going into pound dollar, so looking at the daily time frame, price coming down, also red candle closing down, not a fan of that. I'd like to see price closing up at resistance. If you saw price, we still spoke about yesterday saying, if you identified price closing top of the range over here, then you're looking for a roll reversal lower time frame. Notice how in the 4-hour time frame you never got that roll reversal. Okay, so you wouldn't have taken a trade on the pound dollar, and you can see here, because you didn't take a trade, you now have avoided the consolidation of this currency pair, price bouncing back up and back down, back up and back down. And that's why I like doing it on the 4-hour time frame, because the 4-hour time frame is a solid time frame. Then just verify everything on H1. But of course, if you were looking at the H1 time frame and you saw that as your roll reversal, notice how outside of the market open that is, 6 o'clock. That's why I only trade market opens. If you did take that trade, so very, very out of position, selling into a profit-taking zone, what are you doing at Asia, right? You're getting out, knowing that price is going to pull back. And your big concern being the fact that when you saw price break this resistance, okay, that would have been a big concern for you. So zooming in over here, the moment you saw this over here, that should have been a big alarm bell to you saying, oh, hold on a second, why have we broken this resistance? Price is supposed to come up, hit that resistance, continue going down, okay? Now, if combining pivot point theory into your strategy, knowing that price at the open coming up off of the S2, it's going to head higher, okay? So all of that can be avoided by simply waiting for roll reversals on the H4 time frame. That's not to say you won't lose trades. It just means that your frequency is lower and you get rid of any other nonsense trades that you could be getting into. Okay, Kiwi dollar is neutral. USD CAD, we still got to buy, but again, not a fan of where we were last month. But then look at this month, currently sitting at the M2, below central pivot point, coming at the M2. So positionally, we have certainly changed. Still a bull on the USD CAD. We saw the reasons why. It's a bit of a mixed bag, though. Okay, interest rates, and let's go back to it. So we look at USD CAD over here, and we can see that we've got inflation and interest rates in favor of moving lower down, but everything else is green. So perhaps that's why we've got this sideways movement over here. Looking at the H4 time frame, yesterday opening up at the weekly M3, coming down to weekly M2. Notice how we did not get that roll reversal off of this move last week, and so you would not have bought that. And you can see that that is how you would have avoided price coming all the way back down. We are currently in buy territory. I would like to wait for a daily candle to close at support. There's a green candle closing up. I'm not going to buy on those days. I'm waiting for price to close at support in the daily, and then look and see if I can verify a higher low in the H4. Alternatively, if I've got price coming off of support area and moving up bullishly, then I can look for higher lows on the H4 time frame. I don't have either of those right now. Okay, you can see we don't have price closing any roll reversals H4. We certainly haven't got higher highs and higher lows. Look at that 21.55. Look at how flat and sideways that is. And then the daily here just consolidating completely. So I'd like to wait for this daily candle to close today, see where that puts us. And now that we've got some new pivot points, perhaps there's an opportunity to buy and position at the bottom of the range. The remainder of the pairs, unfortunately, nothing much to do, right? We really only have the Aussie USD, the Euro dollar, the pound dollar, and the USD CAD. Everything else is neutral right now. I'm not going to go and trade neutral charts. So just to recap, on Aussie USD, on the daily time frame, I'm looking for a sell. So I'm looking for price to close at resistance. Didn't get that yesterday. In terms of the Euro dollar daily time frame, I did not get that yesterday. In terms of the pound dollar daily time frame, I did not get that yesterday. And in terms of the USD CAD, I did not get price closing at support yesterday. So none of my daily time frames right now confirm any opportunities to do any trading on any of these dollar pairs, which means that today I'm going to sit back, wait to see how price sets up at the close of today. Also remember, very big week this week data wise, so I'm not too itchy to get into too many trades. Took that euro dollar trade because of the setup I explained yesterday. We'll see if that does any justice. We'll see if this leads to any decent profits. That remains to be seen. But today we'll just be managing this euro dollar trade. And my big question is, if price does come off this resistance, can we make a lower low? Okay, can we make a lower low? And am I happy with the fact that my target is down here, or is something going to happen where at the time London opens, we actually break this resistance, and this trade is just a dud. We'll have to see what happens, right? Big concern in the fact that this candle here broke this resistance, and that resistance became support over there. Not liking this at all, but that's just the nature of the game, right? That's how it goes. There are no holy grails, but at least I know that if I'm trading role reversals, I'm going to lose trades, but I'll lose a lot less trades. Okay. And if I am winning a trade because I'm trading a role reversal, I'm likely to get a much greater profit, because if I'm correct and I did everything right and the market agrees with my analysis, then we should continue in the direction of my trade for a significant period of time. And that's what I want, right? I mean, you can see my stop here is only 50 pips, but if I'm right, and this trade did continue down to the profit-taking zone, you can see I'm in for a 204 pip profit. So 204 pips versus 50 pip, and if it gets down to WS2, it's 280 pips, right? So 280 pips versus a 50 pip stop loss, that's a good return on investment, okay? Selling nice and high, using a trigger to confirm that trade, and all the way down. And you can see that in terms of where I took my trade was over. You look at that pullback over there. Look at that price, pulls back, comes back, hits the resistance, down we go. And if you look at the 15-minute chart, you can see here, look at that over there. Okay. I mean, what am I supposed to do in that situation? That's where I pull the trigger, and we then have to see whether I'm right or wrong. Nothing I can do about that. The rest is up to the market. So let's see how this develops today. And then just remember, look at your daily time frame. If price isn't at resistance in your daily time frame, then how can you sell it today? If price isn't at support your daily time frame, then how can you buy it today? Okay. Stay safe, stay focused, stay disciplined, stay patient, and most importantly, my friends, stay liquid. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All the best.